Honestly, I'm getting quite sick of hearing how one film is going to connect to another in a big franchise. Can no film just exist by itself anymore? Why The Batman is special for me. So basically, The Batman has been out for about a week now, and I've seen it 3 times, and each time I've loved it more and more. Honestly, I think it's probably the best comic movie I've ever seen, and I don't say that lightly, because I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and I love the Suicide Squad, and I love the first Iron Man as well, and I love the Chris Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. But honestly, this film for me just felt so good because of its own thing, because of its own entity, and that's why I loved it so much. And also, the fact that it has Matt Reeves' vision all over it. Honestly, Matt Reeves is such a brilliant director. I mean, I haven't seen all of his work, but the work that I have seen of him, like, you know, the first Cloverfield film, and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War of the Planet of the Apes, honestly, those films are so good. I am a huge fan of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, actually. And you can clearly see that same vision from the Planet of the Apes films, from the latest Planet of the Apes films, you know, carried over into the Batman. And it's such a great way, you know, it's like dark and grittiness, because, you know, in War for Planet of the Apes, you have ape concentration camps, and they're done really well, but also really dark in that movie. And then, in the Batman, you've got some really dark themes going on there. I'm not going to spoilers, again, if people haven't seen it yet, but there's some really dark themes going on there, especially with the Riddler and his plan, and I just love that about the movie. I just love that about the Batman. And also, I just love the fact that it's his own thing. You know, I made this video today because I wanted to talk about how so many franchise movies, and even franchise movies I love, you know, there's some franchise movies out there which I absolutely adore to pieces, but so many franchise movies, like from Marvel, from the DCEU, from like Star Wars, from Jurassic World, and so on, are all connecting to one another, and they have to exist in this universe that the film takes place in, or that the TV show takes place in. And honestly, I just want it all to slow down, and I just want all these big studio heads to look at the Batman and go, that is how you should make your super movies, or big franchise movies nowadays. Because I'm just feeling so lost sometimes in some of these worlds, and even worlds which I sometimes really enjoy, like the DCEU or the Star Wars worlds. You know, I just watch those films or TV shows from those worlds, you know, based in those worlds, and I just feel, I don't know, suffocated, and I just feel overstuffed, and just so much of the time I'm wanting just a standalone super movie, just a standalone movie or standalone TV show in that big franchise, and that is why I love the Batman so much, because the Batman doesn't connect to anything else in the DCU. It doesn't connect to Aquaman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, or whatnot. It doesn't connect to anything else in the DCU, and that is why I loved it so much. Because one of my big problems, and take Marvel as an example, and by the way, I talk a lot of shit about Marvel on this channel. I say a lot of bad things about Marvel. But the thing is though, you know, in the end, there are some Marvel things I actually quite like. You know, I'm a huge fan of the first Iron Man, which I'll be going into a bit later on this video. And also, I'm a huge fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. I can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 next year. And I'm a huge fan of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I particularly liked No Way Home, I mean, who didn't? And also, I enjoyed the Loki TV show. And I've enjoyed, you know, various Marvel products to a degree. I've enjoyed various Marvel films to a degree, some more than others. But so much of the time, they just become instantly forgettable as soon as I leave the cinema watching them. That is the case with me with Sony Marvel movies. You know, I remember watching Ant-Man and the Wasp in the cinema. I remember coming out and going, you know, it wasn't too bad. And then about a week later, I was trying to think about it. It was just completely slipped out of my head. So it's that whole sort of thing with Marvel just feels so overstuffed. And I talk a lot of shit about Marvel on this channel. I do. I say a lot about things about Marvel. But the thing is, though, they're the thing which is always talked about nowadays. You know, I've stopped doing live streams on this channel now for a while, because I know if I started doing live streams again, I would just talk about Marvel content constantly, because it's always coming out. I mean, I was when I was doing my live streams. I was like talking about the newest Marvel movie, or the newest Marvel trailer, or the newest Marvel TV show, and I just got so bored of it. You know, even the Marvel films which aren't the MCU, I was talking about like Venom Let There Be Carnage or Morbius, which aren't the MCU, but kind of are because they're connected to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, so it's all a bit complicated, and at the same time, it's all suffocating and overstuffed right now. One of my big problems with Marvel, and funnily enough, about, I think it was just over a year ago now, I did this big video on like my 5 big reasons why I don't like Marvel. And I remember I watched that video not too long ago, and I was thinking to myself, some of those reasons I didn't think through the best, I've got some there. But if I was to go back and make that video now, which I'm kind of doing today, I would say that one of my big reasons that I don't like Marvel, as well as the fact that I'm starting to lose it a bit with like Star Wars and DCEU. And Star Wars is a franchise I love dearly, but I'll be going to Star Wars a bit later in this video. But one of the reasons I don't like Marvel is simply that everything feels so overstuffed in that universe right now. And you know, if you love the MCU, I don't want to take that away from you. Honestly, I feel like a broken record on this channel, I really do, because there's so many people out there which absolutely adore the MCU. My brothers adore the MCU, some of my best friends adore the MCU, and that's great. I don't want to take that away from anyone. But personally, for me, I just keep finding more and more problems with the MCU as the years go by, especially the whole last year. We had constant TV show and constant Marvel movie after one another, and I wanted to say to Kevin Feige, you know, the head of Marvel Studios, I wanted to go up to him and say, we just slow down and really plan it all out. Because, you know, I don't know if it's just me, but so much Marvel content recently has just felt like quantity over quality. It does not feel like Marvel really has a hand on all the TV shows and films they're producing. And that's what I'm going to go on to now, because if you look at some of the films they released last year, for example, you look at the Eternals, that's opening all these different worlds and all these different characters, like Celestials, and by the way, the Celestials and the Eternals are so boring, and Eternals is a movie I despise. Honestly, I've got to admit now, the more I think about Eternals, the more I've thought about it ever since I saw it last November, I just hated it more and more. I've got to admit, I think Eternals is perhaps the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen. And that's saying something, because I think Chloe Zhao, who directed that movie, is a great director. You know, she directed Nomadland last year as well, which I absolutely adored. But I don't know what happened with Eternals. It was just a huge, big, convoluted mess that was boring and messy and honestly kind of hard to watch. I remember I actually saw Eternals twice in the cinema, and the second time I saw it, I almost fell asleep. I only went to go and see it twice, because I saw it the first time and hated it, but I saw it again because I wanted to go and see it with a friend I hadn't seen it for a long while. And I remember going watching the cinema the second time though, and just, you know, I was doubting it the entire time. I was going, I don't want to go into the cinema, and then I saw it, luckily didn't have to pay much for it because I have an audience limitless, and then I went to the cinema and I saw it for a second time, and it was one of the worst cinema experiences I've ever had in my life, and not because anyone's phone was on in the cinema, but because the film was so bad for me. But if you like Eternals, I'm really happy. In fact, I'm jealous because I wish I loved it. I was actually quite excited to see Eternals. You know, Chloe Zhao directing a Marvel movie. You know what? I'm all in for that. But then I saw the movie, and it was absolutely rubbish. But anyway, yeah, going back onto the thing I was talking about. Eternals open up all these different worlds, and then you go into Shang-Chi, and that's opening all these different worlds. And then you go into like the Loki TV show, which is a show I enjoyed for the most part because it embraces identity quite well in my opinion. But then you go into the Loki TV show, and that's opening the TVA, you know, the Time Variance Authority, and then apparently the multiverse is opening up in that TV show. But then you go all the way down to, you know, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange opening the multiverse, and that. Okay, so who actually opened the multiverse? Was it WandaVision? Because there's a few theories out there, you know, with Doctor Strange 2 coming, there's a few theories out there, but actually Wanda opened up the multiverse in WandaVision. If she did, I didn't get that, but then you'd actually see Loki and Sylvie, you know, the female Loki, actually open up the multiverse in the Loki TV show. But then you saw Doctor Strange do it again in Spider-Man No Way Home. So who actually opened up the multiverse? I'm genuinely questioning that. I've been questioning that ever since I saw No Way Home, and ever since I heard some of the No Way Home writers go, well, actually Loki didn't open the multiverse, Doctor Strange did. Okay, then what did Loki do? What was the point of the Loki TV show if he didn't open the multiverse and Doctor Strange did? I don't understand that. And on the topic of multiverse, we got all that going on at the same time as Eternals, WandaVision, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, the What If TV show, which is apparently canon right now, and we've got Black Widow, we've got Shang-Chi, we've got Eternals, we've got No Way Home, we've got Moon Knight coming at the end of this month, we've got all these different things now, and further down the line this year, we've got Doctor Strange 2, Thor Love and Thunder, we've got, you know, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Miss Marvel, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And there's just so much of it. Honestly, it's feeling suffocating. And I know you can sit here and go, okay, yes, but you don't have to watch these shows, you don't have to watch these films. But then if I don't, I feel like I'm completely out of the film and TV conversation for so long. Honestly, whenever a Marvel TV show is airing on Disney Plus weekly, everything on Twitter is about that Marvel TV show, at least everything I follow, and I just want to go, well, can we not talk about something else over the Marvel ones? There's so many other great films out there. I mean, look, on this channel, I talk about Marvel constantly, I talk about superhero movies constantly, and I don't want to. I want to talk about other movies more, and that is kind of what I'm saying in the video, because so much of the Marvel stuff feels overstuffed. They just want to tell Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, they want to say, slow down, mate, just can you slow down a bit, because there's so much out there, and I'm afraid if I don't watch one of the TV shows, one of the films, I'm not going to understand something 7 movies down the line, and that shouldn't be the case, but it is. And you know, I'm saying this all about some Marvel movies and some Marvel stuff that I actually quite liked last year. Like, I really enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home. Who didn't? But even that movie opens up other problems for the other areas of the MCU. Like, if you haven't watched No Way Home yet, spoilers here, but the end of No Way Home, you know, Peter Parker moved into that new flat, and then the last episode of Hawkeye took place right near that flat, and all I was thinking in the last episode of the Hawkeye TV show was, where's Spider-Man? Because he lives, like, literally in the building next to where all these big events are taking place. I don't understand that. And everything has to feel connected. There's no standalone Marvel movie anymore, which actually feels like its own movie. You can look at something like the origin stories of Marvel over the past couple of years, like Ant-Man and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And sure, those films, you know, give a nice origin story to those characters, but they're still trying to feel connected to the rest of the MCU. You know, the Falcon actually shows up in Ant-Man, and he's in it for about 10 minutes. And then in Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, there's mention of what's happening in the rest of the MCU, and also in the big post-credits in that movie. You know, not to get too much away here if you haven't watched Shang-Chi yet, but again, if you haven't, you're living under a rock. But in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi, Captain Marvel and Mark Ruffalo as, was it, the Hulk, shows up, and it's just like, okay, why did we have to do this though? I don't understand that it's a post-credit scene, but the thing is though, the post-credit scenes in Marvel movies right now are almost like a godsend. If you don't watch the post-credit scenes, you might miss out on something further down the line in Marvel movie. I mean, heck, look at the post-credit scene for Spider-Man Far From Home, a film, again, I enjoy quite a lot, but the post-credit scene, or should I say the mid-credit scene in Spider-Man Far From Home is really important, because it sets up the beginning of Spider-Man No Way Home. Honestly, the titles aren't that great of those movies. I enjoy Far From Home and No Way Home quite a bit, but it's easy to get muddled up with those titles. But nevertheless, you get what I'm trying to say here. So much of the MCU are currently, you know, digesting is just overstuffed and suffocating. They're going to kill off some more characters going forward. But yeah, I use Marvel as an example because so much of it just feels overstuffed, and whilst it's feeling overstuffed, the director's visions are lost in these movies. Take a look at the Eternals. Eternals, again, a film I despise. But the thing is though, Eternals is a Chloe Zhao film. And apart from some of the cinematography, which is really nice to watch, the vision of Chloe Zhao gets lost in that movie. Unlike the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies from like the early 2000s, which starred Tobey Maguire, they were so much Sam Raimi movies. Honestly, that horror stamp which Sam Raimi had in his Evil Dead films into those Spider-Man movies. And those Spider-Man movies really had that Sam Raimi sense about them. And I hope so much that Sam Raimi gets his stamp into Doctor Strange 2, or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as it's called. I hope he gets his stamp into that movie. I don't think he will that much, to be honest. I think that movie will be more about Marvel, more about cameos when we come to see it, and I hope it's great, I really do, because the thing I'm most excited about in Doctor Strange 2 is the fact that Sam Raimi's directing it, and the fact, okay, I'm a little bit excited about, you know, Patrick Stewart turning Professor X. I'm a little bit excited about that, I've got to admit, but other than that, so much of Doctor Strange 2 is not interesting me, I've got to admit, but I hope Sam Raimi gets his stamp onto that movie, because I'm just losing, you know, none of these Marvel movies feel like they're a director's visions. They don't feel like a director realising their vision in a superhero world. And I know some Marvel directors came out, like Chloe Zhao, she came out and said, like, complete creative control over Eternals, but then you watch Eternals, like, did you really? And it's just, you know, it's things like that where it's losing the personal vision of these movies. Honestly, every time I watch a Marvel movie, or Marvel TV show for that matter, so much of the time, and even some of the ones I like, feel like they are just a studio putting out a movie. As much as I did enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home, it does feel in the end like Sony putting out a movie just to get that $1 billion box office and just to have their own Avengers Endgame almost. That's what it feels like. And look, Spider-Man No Way Home has become like the third highest grossing film of all time. So I'm not entirely wrong there, am I? Sony just put out that movie for money and things like that. And yes, you know, no shit, Sherlock. Big studios put out big movies to make money. No shit, Sherlock. I understand that happens all the time. But the more I think about No Way Home, the more obvious it becomes. And No Way Home is a really enjoyable movie. It's got great fan service in there, which works really well. But it is, in the end, just a way of making more money. And I think that's becoming more and more obvious in the whole Marvel franchise, and in some of the Sony Marvel movies as well. You know, Sony are trying to have their own, like, Spider-Verse, their own live-action Spider-Verse now, ever since the success of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is a really enjoyable film, by the way, but that, in the end, was an animated movie. But now, they've got the 2 Venom movies, you've got Morbius coming, you've got Kraven the Hunter movie coming, you've had all the Spider-Man movies, and it's just like, okay, because it's worked so much for Marvel, now Sony are trying to do their own, like, big, you know, sort of MCU, but Spider-Verse, and it's just, oh god, I'm not even sure if I'm making sense, to be honest, 'cause I'm so tired today. But the thing is, though, you get what I'm trying to say, or at least I hope you do. Like, the whole stuff to do with the MCU just feels so much like it's quantity over quality, and everything has to connect to one another so we can please fans. That's what it feels like so much. And Star Wars does as well. You know, even so I'm a huge Star Wars fan, got my big Baby Yoda Funko Pop back there, even so I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I just can't wait for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. Honestly, if you saw the trailer, by the way, it's amazing. But yes, even so I can't wait for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. I know in the end, that show will include a hell of a lot of fan service to please fans, like No Way Home did, like Shang-Chi did to a degree, and like other Marvel shows did last year, like Loki as well, and also Hawkeye with the Return of Kingpin. So much of the book of Boba Fett, a show I really enjoyed, was including these classic characters, so fans would be happy for like 10 minutes in an episode. Like when a DH Luke Skywalker turned up, and I think it was episode 6 of the book of Boba Fett, you know, that was really good, and I really enjoyed watching that because I was a huge Star Wars fan. But in the end, though, it's based on, you know, Don Cheadle showing up in the first episode of the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show, and it's also very similar to, you know, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin turning up in Hawkeye. These characters, although they might be necessary to the plot, they just injected into these TV shows for the fans to go, oh, look who it is, look who it is. And I was like that when I watched the book of Boba Fett. I do that as well. I'm a cope with that as well. But the thing is, though, even I can look at something like Star Wars and go, okay, they need to tone down on that now. They need to tone down on having the Mandalorian so many episodes. I'm really excited to watch the Obi-Wan TV show, the Andor TV show, and then watch Mandalorian Season 3. So then it feels like, you know, I really earned that third season of Mandalorian. Then I can really appreciate it, because at the moment, it feels like I've had too much Mandalorian content over the past couple of years, and I really love Mandalorian. I think it's absolutely fantastic, but I can't wait for something different in a Star Wars TV show. I can't wait for Obi-Wan, and I can't wait for Andor, because I feel it's going to be something different from Mandalorian. And I love Mandalorian, I do. I really do. But I've got to admit, I'm looking forward to Obi-Wan a lot more than I was looking forward to the Book of Boba Fett. And I really enjoyed that show overall. But Obi-Wan, looks like it's going to be something different from Boba Fett and The Mandalorian. But even Obi-Wan, I bet will be trying to connect itself to, you know, the prequels or the Clone Wars TV show maybe, or even the original trilogy with A New Hope, or maybe Empire and Return of the Jedi. Maybe it tries to connect itself to some of the later movies. Maybe have some cameos in there from some of the original trilogy. I don't know. It's possible. Anything's possible in Star Wars nowadays. We have a DH Luke Skywalker turn up in the Book of Boba Fett and the end of Mandalorian Season 2. Anything's possible. And even me, as a huge fan of Star Wars, I'm such a huge fan of Star Wars, even I can take a step back at Star Wars and go, stop trying to connect yourself too much and stop making the universe feel small. Unlike the MCU, which is making the whole of that universe feel overstuffed, Star Wars is making the whole universe feel smaller and smaller, because so much of the content, so much of the newest Star Wars content we've had over the past couple of years has taken place on the same couple of planets, Tatooine, and I'm not really thinking of anything else. So that's proving my point even more. You know, so much of the newest Star Wars content over the past couple of years has taken place on Tatooine, making the whole Star Wars universe feel smaller and smaller. Star Wars is huge. The Star Wars universe is huge, and I can't wait to get into like Obi-Wan, where it looks like they're exploring some more new worlds, and I can't wait to go into Andor as well, the Andor TV show, and hopefully they'll explore more new worlds than that, because so much at the moment, especially with the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, and the Book of Boba Fett actually becoming Mandalorian Season 2.5, just trying to make everything feel connected, and I'm getting kind of sick of that. It's making me feel suffocated, and I don't want it to. I want to watch these Marvel and Star Wars TV shows on Disney Plus and absolutely adore them. I want Moon Knight to be my favourite thing to come out of Marvel ever when it comes out. But I don't think it will, because I reckon that the Hulk is going to show up in that show. I reckon we're going to get some other Marvel cameos as well. I reckon that's what's going to happen in Moon Knight. And the same happens with the DCEU. Even so I quite enjoy the DCEU, it feels messy because it's trying to connect itself too much. And you have films like Zack Snyder's Justice League and like the Suicide Squad, which feel like they're trying to do too much because they're trying to connect itself too much to other areas of the DCEU. And I just wish that it stopped a bit. I just can't wait for the next Superman movie, the next Star Wars movie, the next, Jurassic World movie that just exists by itself. That's what I can't wait for. And that is why I love the Batman. Oh, yes. There's a good link there. But that is why I love the Batman so much. And that's also why we enjoyed Joker in 2019. Because Joker was his own entity. And now you get to the Batman. And that's his own entity. It's not connected to Joker. It's not connected to Aquaman, Wonder Woman, The Flash. It's not connected to any of that. And it's not connected to Marvel. Thank God it's not connected to Marvel. And also, it's not connected to Star Wars. Imagine that, by the way. Imagine if the Batman and Star Wars connected. But you get what I'm trying to say. It's not connected to anything else. And that is one of the reasons I love it so much. And I didn't talk about that in my first 29-minute review of the Batman. But it's what I wanted to say in this video. Because the Batman is a film I adore the more I think about it. The more I watch it, I adore that movie. Because there's Matt Reeves' clear vision all over it. But also, it doesn't feel like it's trying to connect itself to anything else. It's not connecting itself to anything else. Sure, it teases more of this, Matt Reeves' Batman world towards the end of that film. But it also, it doesn't connect itself though. It's not like Jason Momoa's Aquaman shows up in the third act of the movie and goes, actually, I'm going to stop all the flooding. That doesn't happen in the Batman. And I love that about it. And I know the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy did the same thing. But the thing is, the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, as much as I adore it, I really, really love those movies. I really do. As much as I like those movies, in the end, the Christopher Nolan movies. And for me personally, I had to be in the mood to watch a Christopher Nolan film. There's some Christopher Nolan films like The Prestige, Memento, the Dark Knight trilogy itself, and Inception and Dunkirk, which I really, really, really like. But I have to be in the mood to watch those movies because they're Christopher Nolan movies, and he's a great director, he's an amazing director, but I just have to be in the mood to watch a Christopher Nolan film. So that is why I actually prefer the Batman over any of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight films. That's why I prefer the Batman over the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, which I still really like. But all in all, the Batman, it's special to me because it was kind of my faith being restored in a standalone Superman movie, which I just haven't seen in such a long while. That's one of the reasons I absolutely adore the first Iron Man, because if you take the post-credit scene out of that movie, it's its own thing, and it's so fantastic to watch. And you can just watch that movie and not have to watch any more of the MCU, and it's still so good. And even so, Guardians of the Galaxy was my favourite comic movie until a week ago when I saw the Batman. Even so, I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy so much. Even that does connect itself to other areas of the MCU. Thanos shows up in that movie. I think you have Benicio del Toro's character, the Collector, show up in there as well. But the thing is, though, it doesn't feel like it's trying to connect itself too much, though. Like, you could watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and I feel they can be pretty satisfied with what you watch. I honestly think that if you watch the Marvel TV shows or watching the Marvel movies, like Ant-Man, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, like WandaVision, like the fucking Winter Soldier, like Loki, and Loki's a show I enjoy, by the way, I said that before, and I'll say again, Loki is a show I enjoy, but like Shang-Chi, like Eternals, like Black Widow, you can watch those movies, and that's just a couple of examples I've used there, but you can watch those movies and TV shows, and they don't feel completely fulfilling because they're just another piece in a incomplete jigsaw puzzle which will forever be the MCU. Honestly, the MCU will forever be an incomplete jigsaw puzzle. Never end. I bet you it won't. But anyway, I went on about the MCU quite a lot on this video today. And the truth is, I do like some movies in the MCU. I do. But at the same time, though, they're the things which really start to suffocate me. And the DC is going to do it in 2023 as well, I bet you. DC going into 2022, we have Shazam 2, Black Adam, and then in 2023 we've got Aquaman 2, we've got the Flash movie, Batgirl's happening next year. And I feel that that's going to be trying to copy the Marvel formula from this year, the whole multiverse stuff, Michael Keaton's Batman returning, and just trying to make everything feel connected, and it'll just make me yearn for the days of the Batman. Honestly, I don't think we're going to get a Batman sequel forever now, and you know what? I am going to be sad about that, because I really love this movie. I really love the Batman because it was his own thing, and I know I said that quite a lot, but I really want to point that out. It was his own thing. And I'm really not looking forward to Moon Knight. And I want to be, but I'm not, because I'm afraid that it's just going to be another piece in the Marvel puzzle, which I'm not really enjoying doing. That's what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel like another piece, it's going to feel like another episode in this big, ongoing, TV show, which is the MCU. That's what it's going to feel like. As much as I enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home, it's just another piece in the puzzle of the MCU. You get what I'm trying to say? As much as I did enjoy the Suicide Squad, that's what it started to become. The Suicide Squad spawned a spin-off with the Peacemaker TV show, and I hear the Peacemaker TV show is great, but in the end, that's what DCEU's become as well, with the whole big, incomplete jigsaw puzzle. And I bet you I will eventually get sick of the DCEU, like I'm starting to do with Marvel. And also Star Wars, if it keeps doing this whole connecting thing, when it's trying to make its universe connect so much, I will eventually get sick of Marvel. And also Jurassic World, as much as I'm looking forward to Jurassic World Dominion this June, as much as I can't wait to see Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill return to their roles from the first Jurassic Park, in the end, I'm hoping that movie just exists by its own and just isn't too much fan service. Because I remember watching the first Jurassic World in the cinema, and they go back to the original Jurassic Park in that movie. They go back to the original park from the first Jurassic Park in that movie, and I remember thinking, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Other than to get a big fan pop. And that's what they're all about in the end. That's what all the connectivity stuff about Marvel's in the end. That's what all the connectivity stuff about Star Wars in the end. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so when I see Luke show up in Boba Fett or Mandalorian Season 2, or when I see Ahsoka show up, and I'm not really the biggest fan of Ahsoka, but when I see her show up, or when I see R2-D2 show up, or when I hear like Yoda's theme in Book of Boba Fett, I feel that sense of, yes, I'm a Star Wars fan, and look, we're finally being pleased in the TV show. But even in the end, as a Star Wars fan, I can sit back and go, yes, I know what they're clearly trying to do there. And that's what they're doing with Marvel so much. That's what they've been doing with Marvel. It's just yeah. I've been going on and on and on. And hopefully I made my point well. I'm not sure if I did, by the way, because I'm really tired today. I've said that already. But I'm really, really tired today. But yeah, I don't know. I love the Batman because it's his own thing. And it doesn't have to connect to anything else. And it's Matt Reeves' vision all of that movie. And I'm starting to miss standalone super movies, standalone Star Wars movies, and standalone, just big franchise movies that don't have to connect themselves too much to other movies in that franchise. That's what I'm starting to miss. But you know what? The Batman restored my faith in movies like that. It restored my faith in super movies, which are their own thing and don't connect to anything else. And that's why I loved it so much. That's why the Batman was special to me, because it was an absolutely fantastic movie that felt like Matt Reeves' vision all over it and just felt like its own thing, and I just absolutely adored it for that. And so after watching The Batman 3 times, I'm going to say that The Batman now is a 9.5 out of 10. That's slightly a bit up from my last year of The Batman, when I said The Batman was a 9.2 out of 10. But also, I just want to say that The Batman is an incredible movie, and if you haven't seen it yet, go and check it out. It's a 3-hour movie, feels more like 2 hours, and it's its own thing. And I think that we really shouldn't take standalone super movies for granted anymore, because even if you're a fan of the MCU, and I hope you are, and I hope I haven't pissed you off with this video if you do love the MCU so much, but the thing is though, I'm just, the more I think about the MCU, the more it annoys me, and the more it suffocates me, and the more I just get annoyed with the fact that it feels so overstuffed right now. And I watched The Batman, and it almost felt like a breath of fresh air, which is ironic, because it's such a dark and gritty movie. But it's the truth. I watched The Batman, and it felt like a huge breath of fresh air. And that's why I loved it so much, honestly. It's so good. I'm just thinking about it now, and I have a huge grin in my face, because I love that movie. And I love the fact that it just feels like its own thing, and it feels like a director's vision being put onto that movie in the best way possible, and it doesn't have to connect to anything else. Unlike Marvel, unlike the DCEU, unlike Star Wars, and unlike other big franchises such as Jurassic World going on right now. Because the Batman is his own thing, and that is why I absolutely love it. And that's also why I'm now going to say that after watching the film 3 times, that I'm going to say that The Batman is a 9.5 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of the Batman? Please leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I hope you enjoyed the video as well. I hope I didn't annoy you if you are a fan of the MCU or if you are a huge fan of Star Wars. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, but I hope I didn't annoy you with this video. And I hope you did enjoy watching it. And thank you as always for watching. And if you haven't yet, please click down below and like, subscribe on this video. I look forward to many more, both film and TVs, come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye.